Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
The legend.
The legend, DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Whoop, whoop.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
How are you, man?
I'm beautiful.
I'm noticing a pattern already, though.
Okay.
You said that you had the best water you ever had in your life here at the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I did.
And you also said that the new Bel-Air show might be your favorite show ever.
Yeah. Listen, I'm pointing in a positive direction.
Okay.
Now we have Jazzy Jeff here, who is on
Yes.
my Mount Rushmore of DJs. I think it's, in my opinion, you know, I always go with Clue because Clue brought me into this game. But I always say Clue, Kid Capri, and Jazzy Jeff are on my Mount Rushmore.
Who's the fourth?
Yeah.
Fourth, I would probably have to say it would have to be Flex.
Okay.
Just on the radio aspect and what he was able to do on radio. Kid Capri because he's just a legend. Jazzy Jeff was a legend and Clue from what he did in mixtapes. I would have to say those four.
We might as well ask Jazzy who's his now then.
Oh, man.
That's usually towards the end of the interview question, but why not?
Mine is, well, I always have to put guys like Flash up there because they kind of inspired me to even make me think that you could do this bigger than a hobby. So it would probably be like guys like Flash, guys like Theodore. And then I'm friends with so many DJs, it's really hard for me to pick because there's so many people that do what I like because I like a lot of different, I'm really good friends with Kenny Dope and Louis Vega, on the house side, guys like Scratch Bastard, Newmark, DJ Scratch. So it's just, I'm just a fan of the culture.
Right. His Mount Rushmore has like 20. So
what got you into DJing way back when in Philly? What got you into doing it? And how did you get into it? Because DJing is expensive.
Oh man. Listen, my most formidable years of DJing, I didn't own any equipment.
Wow.
Like I bought records. Every day my mom gave me money for lunch in school, and I starved myself for 4 years of high school.
Same exact thing.
And bought records every day. She never knew that. I took my mom to Jamaica and walked her on the beach and told her that.
Like, Mom, I never ate for 4 years.
Yeah. We didn't have a lunch in our school. Yeah. We got out early, so I took the lunch money and just bought records. But I realized that records were the most important thing to a DJ. It wasn't equipment. You could find somebody who has equipment and sucks. If you got records and you're good, then y'all got a group. And that's, basically what it was.
How did you know that? How did you know my future is in DJing?
Oh,
so I'm gonna
I
make
didn't.
this sacrifice. Wow.
Didn't. It was just, it was something that you did. It was a hobby that you enjoyed. You got records, you played music, people danced. We used to have block parties in Philly, and it all depended on who had a block party that same day. Because you could have a block party with nobody there, or you could have a block party with 1,000 people there. And I was probably about 14, 15, and did a block party with 1,000 people, and everybody was shocked because you kept everybody on the floor.
I want you to expound on something. It's just the nerd in me that wants to know this. You say the most important thing is the records, right? Nowadays, people don't have records. They put everything in Serato, and they can pretend to be a DJ because of the way the technology is set up. So what's more important now?
It's still the records because, it really doesn't. You can't really pretend to be a DJ. Like the truth comes out. Put you in front of 1,000 people who are expecting you to make them move, and you don't make them move, and that's the truth. So it's never, I've never been one of those people that shoot people down who wants to be a DJ, who tries to be. There's a lot of people who make career changes to become a DJ. I don't care what it is, as long as you don't, disrespect the craft.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to go in a space and figure out what the audience likes.
That can be one of the most grueling things in the world, and especially when you DJ for a long enough period, the music shifts. You don't ever know when the music shifts. It's always one night when it slaps you in the face.
What do you mean shifts? Like it's like Crunk goes to something else?
Oh, listen, I did Howard's Homecoming. Used to body Howard's Homecoming. And I went to Howard's Homecoming one year, and it was, Envy you probably know, and it was this typical setup that you would do. You would play all of the new stuff, and then you drop into all of the classics.
Yeah.
and this is when the classics were Eric B for president, Nobody Beats the Biz, and I dropped it and nobody moved. And I was like, wow, it's not there. It's Eve's Who That Girl.
Oh, Nuck If You Buck now. Yeah.
It but so you always got to prepare yourself for that night that you realize that.
I did that one night with Benjamins.
Ooh.
I go to the club, I play Benjamin. I'm thinking the crowd, it's Benjamins. And they looking at me like,
yeah.
New Yorkers are arrogant with what they think is classics, though.
Benjamins, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but y'all still arrogant when it comes to what y'all think are classics because they
Benjamins
don't.
is not a classic?
Yeah, it is. But it's still, I'm from the South, so it's like 60% of all black people in the South, our classics, they are different than what
that's
y'all
true.
might think is classic up north.
And that is true. Regionally, like you go to a different city and they have their local songs that hit from like even the classics, and that might not be anything. How do you have that in your crates?
You just gotta pretty much be prepared for a little bit of everything. But a lot of times, you know what? The funny thing with me is I never changed the way that I played. You know, I kind of looked at it like you got me for what I do. If I change the way that I play and play what everybody else plays, then you're going to look up and realize that there's really no reason to pay me what you're paying me to come here to play. So it's kind of like you don't go to a restaurant, or you shouldn't go to a good restaurant and ask the chef to change his menu. So I just look at it like, you know what?
You came to see DJ Jazzy Jeff. You know what it is.
And you know, especially doing as much international stuff as I did, it really gets hard because trying to change, you know, what you play coming from New Orleans to New York is a little bit different coming from South Africa to New York. Right. So, you know, I know I know this, so I'm going to give you that.
I don't think people realize or understand the importance of a DJ to a group, especially in the era that we grew up in. There is no just Fresh Prince. It's Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. There is no just Run DMC. It's Jam Master Jay. It's just no Salt and Pepper Spinderella. What happened to the DJ in rap groups?
The economy. The economy. I think because I don't want to go too deep into this, but
please go.
When
I'm about to say go as deep as you want, but then I have to pause that. But yes, go deep.
In 1988 to me was the biggest year in hip hop. It might have been, you know, Will and I was talking about that. It might have been 40-something groups that released in 87, 400 and something groups that released in 88. Like it was like the explosion. And I think after that, people started to realize that Santa Claus wasn't real in the music industry. That the money wasn't coming the way that you thought it was coming. You know, there were people that thought, listen, if I sell 1 million records, I'll never be broke. And you start getting all of this success. Once the money started getting tight, no one ever looked at who was making the money tight from. We started looking at each other, which meant DJs or MCs started looking at DJs like, I'm not really trying to split my money with you.
Wow.
And I really think it was an economic thing that changed all of that. We don't have every group used to have dancers.
Right.
You know, they were groups that had human beatbox. They had, you know, it was groups. Like and then when you think about it, even in the music market, how many bands do we have now?
One.
Where's
groups.
Earth, Wind and Fire? You know, it's you know, I think from an economic structure, you know, it started to get to the point that people start saying, I need to cut some corners, and
that's
DJ
the label
was
fault,
first thing.
though, right? Couldn't the label just give you a contract where everybody's compensated?
Yeah, they could.
Yeah,
but then one always feels bigger than the other one.
Yeah,
you the rapper. Why am I gonna split my money with the dancer? Why am I gonna split my money with the DJ?
But DJs were different. I mean, to me, DJs were different because you would always hear the MCs bigging up the DJ. The DJs had their own moments on albums, like.
But you remember when that stopped? It went from bigging up the DJ to the DJs here to now the DJ's gone.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But it's just, you know, I think, you know, we get to a point that it's kind of like I got to make some hard decisions. And, you know, but I also believe that made DJs say, okay, well, if I'm not in a group anymore, I might as well go and rock this club. And no one paid attention to the shift. There was a point in time that I really thought that Las Vegas was going to turn into Salt and Pepper at the Riviera. Kid and Play, and what it was DJ AM. So it got to a point that it was kind of like, I can hire you as a group to perform 5 records, or I can pay AM to play 25 records.
Right.
And
I read Will's book. Y'all never had that problem, right? I mean, y'all did go. Y'all had financial problems, but never. I got to cut Jazzy.
Oh, no. It was, from the day that Will and I met, Will was like, I'm trying to be the biggest movie star in the world. And I was like, I'm trying to do music for the movies. So that was set in
how
stone.
Did y'all meet? Break that down. How y'all met?
In Philly, in crews. Everybody kind of had crews. He was in a crew in Winfield, and I was in a crew in West Philly. Got a call one night to do a house party, and I picked up the phone to call my MC, and he wasn't in the house. There's pre-pager, cell phone.
Right.
He wasn't in the house, so I went to do the party, and it happens to be next door to Will. And he comes in the basement, and he sees me, doesn't see the MC. He's like, where's Ice? I was like, I couldn't get in touch with him, and he was like, you mind if I rock with you tonight? And that night turned into another night, and it just never stopped.
Instant chemistry. I read that in the book, and I was like, man, God really his divine alignment is incredible.
Yeah. A lot of times.
Do you think about that? That's the night that literally changed both y'all lives.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. What if Ice would have answered the phone?
Right.
Well, I know we're here talking about Bel-Air.
Yes.
And you are the host of the official podcast. And I was telling you, I haven't seen the 9th episode. I saw the first 8. But it is interesting to watch the show and then listen to you break it down on the podcast and talk about some of these subjects. So first of all, how involved were you in the show Bel-Air?
Not really involved. I was one of the people that saw the trailer, in the beginning, and Will saw it, and 30 hours later he called Morgan and said, we need to do something.
That is so fascinating, because how often does that happen?
I love the fact, I love this story to the point that I hope that this inspires people in their garage right now to take matters into their own hands. Like, just shoot it, record it. Don't wait for, someone to give you the green light. This brother just came up with an idea to reimagine a intro and shot it.
Your character is super cool on there too.
I love that. I'm mad that I didn't get the car. I'm mad that I didn't get the car. We didn't have the budget that they have.
I was gonna ask, when y'all shot the original, you moved to LA to shoot your scenes?
Or I commuted.
Or back and forth?
I commuted. I wasn't.
Because you were still on the road.
Yeah, I commuted every week that we shot.
Wow.
Friday night I was out.
It's amazing, right? When you think about the oldest show, it's like that role seems so small, but it was so big to us as hip hop heads.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Jeff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We always wanted to see you on there.
Yeah. even though we know you're getting thrown out.
Yeah.
When he threw you out, what did he throw you out to? Was there a match?
A mat. It was a mat, and I jumped. Like, I had to jump, and every last one of those takes were easily 50 jumps. So I would be black and blue after doing it. The reason why it got to the point that I kept wearing the same shirt is I was like, I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah, right there in the book.
Like, I ain't doing that no more, man. Y'all killing me.
Now, one thing you were talking about on the podcast is Carlton and Will's character, right? And how they get treated differently by the dad, by Uncle Phil. And so that was something I was watching the show, and Carlton is very evil. It feels like at first on this new series, like way darker than I expected.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Well, you know what? I think the thing that I really enjoyed about this show is I felt like somebody, because I was skeptical in the beginning, somebody picked up The Fresh Prince in the 90s, moved it to 2022, and said, what if this was real? And every last one of these characters, this is how they would be if this was real life.
Right.
Carlton absolutely would be on drugs. Like, he would absolutely be
hanging
on
around all them white kids.
He would absolutely
He
be
got
on
on my
drugs.
nerves so much while I was watching it. He did a good job.
He did. Like, and I told him that's a sign of a good actor or actress when people don't like you because of your performance. You nailed it.
I'm like, you hating ass.
Yeah. But I mean, but now when you think about it, he was the king. You know, he's the black kid in the white world. Everybody loves. He can play both sides. You know, or try to play both sides. And somebody from Philly came in with all of the swag and took it.
Right.
Like he got the natural swag. You got the Bel-Air, I made it up swag.
I'm captain of the lacrosse team swag.
And Will just came in and took it. I'd be mad too.
But you can see that from the original show though. Like the original show had those undertones of Carlton being jealous and envious.
Yeah.
Carlton was just a little goofier on the original one.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. This is what I think is wrong, because I do feel like Will is wrong in the fact that you can't date Carlton's ex-girlfriend.
That's foul.
Yeah.
I said that was foul.
Yeah. But think about it. That's what would actually happen. Every time one of these things came up and I thought about it, I was like, yeah, your cousin would do something like that. And it would make you mad. You would punch him in the face.
That's kind of foul.
No, it is. Yeah, but real life is foul.
Because I feel like Carlton had the right to be upset about that.
He had the right to punch Will in the face. Mm-hmm.
But to your point, if Carlton was the GMO black, when the organic black comes in, you know what I mean? She wants some of that.
But yeah, I mean, But Will should have had a little restraint. Mm-hmm. I mean, you going out to Bel-Air. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other girls in Bel-Air that he could have picked. Yeah. Aside from the one that comes to the house.
Does Will consult with you about movies and TV shows? Because I saw that you said you were confused about the I Am Legend sequel.
No. I get excited about that.
Okay.
You know, when even thinking about the idea of that, because that was one of my favorite movies, that he did, that the potential of him doing something else. A lot of times, he'll just call and say, I'm going to be in such and such for about 6 months. Mm-hmm. Like, he won't even tell me what he's shooting. It's like, I'm going to be in such and such for 6 months. Just come down. So, yeah, I hope it's a sequel.
So he doesn't consult with you?
No.
Okay.
But how? Well, he died. Well, he turned into the monster.
We don't know if he died.
Did you see the
alternate?
The alternate.
Yeah, because the alternate ending, when they pull up to that gate in that new community, he was sitting in the passenger seat. Mm. So what I'm wondering, and they put the alternate ending on the DVD, which, but I don't know.
What about this summertime hip hop musical that they were saying last year is going to happen?
I don't know about that one.
Oh, really? I saw something about a summertime hip hop musical. I would feel like that would be you too. So.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one yet.
What does the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff do to, I don't want to say preserve the legacy because it's preserved already, but just to, show everybody this is what we did, to what's the word I'm looking for? Memorialize it almost.
You know what, man? I never stopped doing what I've been doing. And I think I'm not, no disrespect to anybody who does. I'm not really the Throwback Thursday person. I don't think that I have done what I'm supposed to do here yet. Mm. And I don't know what that is. Mm. So I'm moving forward, until I find out what that is.
Mm. You feel like with music now it's not as fun? Like I just remembering all the times Parents Just Don't Understand or Summertime, those were fun records. Yeah. You feel like there is no fun rap records like that anymore?
No, there is. There's a lot of them. Mm-hmm. We just don't have access to them like we used to. You used to hear Parents Just Don't Understand on the radio, and it's we don't get our music. We don't get any of our entertainment the way that we used to get it, and that has a lot to do why we don't have those feelings anymore. There's probably more good artists out today than it was back then. But there's probably more bad artists out today that get so, it gets so swallowed up in it. And how do you find it? Who's our curator? Who's our curator that picks these good records out and bad records? It used to be the DJs.
Now it's streaming services.
Now it's streaming service, was pretty much our algorithm. So, you don't know. But that to me, that goes back to the whole thing. I don't care how much technology you put into something, especially in the DJing, technology will never be able to read a crowd.
That's
Have
real.
you ever thought about?
That's real.
I thought you were working with them one time. The one thing about DJs in our industry, we don't own our own, right? Like we don't own the turntables, we don't own the headphones, we don't own the mixes. Have you ever thought about creating your own? Because you're such a turntablist. I have helped so many of the companies develop products, have designed products. But you're right. It's never a ownership thing. And trying to get
tech people together to try to do something. I've always thought about that, but sometimes trying to do something like that alters your main goal. It's I don't know if my mission was to own a company to make the turntable for everybody to DJ with. A lot of times I almost feel like my mission might be to go to the company and give them the insight to make their product better. That'll help me do my job better and help all the other DJs. When sitting down with Pioneer developing, the mixer, I picked up the phone and called 50 of my DJ friends because it wasn't about my design. It was about, as a collective, what do we think should be here and what shouldn't be here.
Well, how would you define the state of DJing, and what role do you see DJs playing in the culture today?
Well, that changed dramatically over the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Oh man, it changed for the better for some people and extreme worse for others. Because once the world shut down, there would be times that the club scene isn't banging in the United States and people would go to Europe. This was the first time that the whole world shut down, so there's no place to go. Mm-hmm. And what happened is it evened out the playing field, and it was who wants to do something. Somebody like D Nice got on and started streaming, and basically changed everything, changed the entire landscape. For
DJs?
Oh, completely.
So. Okay.
I was one of the first people to get extremely sick from COVID, and which ironically is this week 2-year anniversary. Mm-hmm. But I remember when D Nice went on, and I was pretty much on my deathbed watching him, and that was the only thing that made me feel good.
Wow.
Because he's playing music. But I realized it's like he's playing music on his kitchen counter because he's kind of like, I don't know what's going on in the world. And the only thing that's going to calm me down is me playing music. And then you look up and Oprah's on there, and Ellen DeGeneres is on there, and Michelle Obama's on there. Mm-hmm. Because at music, everybody needed music for that. Mm-hmm. And then once everybody started streaming, there was a couple of aha moments for me that it's like I'm going around playing for 2,000 people in this club, or I can stay home and play for 50,000 people all over the world. Mm-hmm. And it's you're covering more ground. Not everybody. I have zero desire to be in a club right now. And like just being out. And it took a lot for me to admit that because my life was in the club. Mm-hmm. I started realizing when I go to San Francisco and I call my DJ friends like, yo, I'm in town. Where you at? I'm at the Mighty tonight. Oh, cool. What you doing? I'm getting ready to go to dinner. I'll meet you. And they go to dinner. You know where they never come? They never come to the club. They don't have a desire to go to the club. Right. But then I started thinking, how do people who don't go to the club hear good DJs? The only place you're going to hear a good DJ is in the club.
No, that's
until
real.
Now.
Yeah.
Now you can hear them in your house. Completely change the whole dynamic.
But you think you was taking the reaction of music though? That's the only thing.
Oh, no. Say that again.
You don't get the reaction of music.
I don't know. About that.
And I'm gonna tell you why. I go to the club because you get a young DJ that plays a record that's local.
Yep.
That the club rings off on.
Yeah.
That you could bring.
I give you that.
So I do that as well.
Yeah, but on both sides, because the thing that I found interesting, D Nice didn't play one new record.
No,
not one.
D Nice were playing music was playing music for us, not our kids, for us. And I've always felt that the adult marketplace, we are the least served.
That's right.
We don't
Especially
have clothes. We don't have nothing. Either I got to dress like my son or I'm wearing Skechers. And I ain't trying to do either. So it's kind of you trying to figure out what to wear. We don't necessarily have clubs. And the whole club quarantine thing was for us. And I think it woke a lot of us up. That it's kind of like, yo, we the ones that go to we take vacations.
Yeah.
We don't go to clubs. We go to dinner. We go to vacations,
it's so funny you say that because the
brunch party.
The importance of a D Nice, like on vacation for like the past 5-6 years, New Year's Eve, we go out the country to Anguilla, and D-Nice has been DJing.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what we get down. It's all the old heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, I used to watch all of that, and him and Kenny Burns. And,
that's right. Absolutely.
You know, listen, I mean, I'm happy to me, you know, right now that I feel like the grown folks woke up.
I wonder if we were taking our culture for granted. And when you look at what happened with COVID, the D-Nices, the verses, it made us appreciate our era more.
Oh, 100%. It made us appreciate our house a lot more because being stuck in the house, you kind of got to a point that was like, okay, I might as well fix this up. I might as well do I might as well do something. I'm like, you know, let me get this new couch. Mm-hmm. You know, I realized that two things that I saw. There were no young DJs streaming. All the young DJs were waiting for the club to open back up. I was sick to the point that I said, if we are back to normal within a year, this is the biggest scam in the world. I can't be on my deathbed in a global pandemic and a year later we're back. Mm-hmm. I knew this was going to be 2 years plus. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, I'm jumping in.
And you couldn't even get tested right then, right?
Oh, listen, they didn't know what I had.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
They didn't know what I had.
What exactly was it? You said 2 years
the last show that I did before the world shut down was Ketchum, Idaho. And I went to Ketchum, Idaho, and I had just come back from an Asian Australian tour. So, I mean, it's ringing in my ears. Like, one of the last 2 dates, you know, I was in Hong Kong and landed in the airport, and I always like to get the data from somebody there. Like, I'm not trying to hear the news. What's going on? Dude, it's 6,000 miles away. You know, we dealt with SARS. Everybody wears a mask over here anyway. It's not that bad. And I was like, okay, cool. And the next morning when I left, the airport was under bubble wrap.
Damn.
And it was kind of like, okay, something is not right. And I left Hong Kong, flew to Jakarta, turned on the television, they shut the Hong Kong airport down. Like, I just got out. But I was just kind of like, okay, I got back home. I'm good. Went to Ketchum, Idaho. You know, I'm on a plane like this because nobody was wearing masks. Mm-hmm. And literally stayed in my room, did the show, went back to my room, flew home. I'm home. I'm off for 2 months. And my wife and I go to the grocery store. I'm like, something ain't right. You hearing all this rumbling? I think we need to... You know, I'm one of them apocalypse dudes anyway, that I got cream of wheat and all kinds of stuff in the basement just in case the world shuts down. So I was already like, all right, we need to stock up. And we went to the supermarket, and the day we were in the supermarket was when Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson got it. Mm-hmm. That, you know, which that threw everybody because it's kind of like this, you know, if it can hit celebrities, anybody can get it. Mm-hmm. And then they shut the NBA down. And I looked at my wife.
That's when it got real.
Yeah. But I looked at my wife and I said, I don't feel good. And she was like, what's wrong? I said, I'm just a little achy. It's like, all right, we got all the stuff we need. Go home, take a shower. I don't remember the next 14 days.
Wow.
You know, and I had double pneumonia in both of my lungs, which later I found was a symptom of COVID. Mm-hmm. But they weren't testing. Mm-hmm. Like, the doctors told me to go home and sit still. Your life depends on it.
So this was before respirators and everything.
Oh yeah. This was right when they shut everything down.
Damn.
Did your wife get it? Your kids get it from you?
My wife did, but you know, she lost her taste and smell for a day, and that was it. Kids, you know, she kept the kids out of the room, you know, because I was in such bad shape. She didn't want them to see me like that. But coming out of it, she got a call from a journalist that said, I'm calling to find out how Jeff is, which we never told anybody I was sick yet. Mm-hmm. And he said, the last show that Jeff did was the nation's first hotspot. And 50 people that were at the event that he did died.
Damn.
Holy cow.
So so now I'm looking at which I'm happy they didn't tell me because that would have psychologically got me. Mm-hmm. But now I'm looking like, wait, I had COVID? Like, that's what that was. I thought I had pneumonia, you know, not that it was better or worse, but it was like, that's when I realized, you know, that it's kind of like, yo, and I have video on my phone that I won't erase of me coming through the crowd, slapping high fives and looking at that video, realizing that there's a bunch of people that aren't alive now.
Yeah. Did you, wow. Did you, what home remedies did you do? Like, was it?
Oh, man, listen, at that, nothing. I didn't eat for 12 days. I was hungry. Didn't eat for 12 days. You don't really know what to take with pneumonia because that's fluid in your lungs. So it wasn't like I was congested, anything.
But pneumonia is fatal. The doctors didn't even want to take you for that? Like
there's nothing that they can do for pneumonia because pneumonia is fluid in your lungs. And they were basically like, we're only going to put you in the hospital for you to sit still. You need to go home and sit still, especially with all of this stuff coming up that we don't know what this is.
Damn.
So
no, we're glad you're here, brother.
You still you say you don't DJ as much. Now when you DJ, what's the difference? Do you still walk through the crowd? You can't give people high fives, and everybody want to talk. Everybody want to talk. You get to the point where I be turning my back sometimes, and I want to be rude. But I'm like, bro, COVID still exists.
Yes, absolutely.
So what do you do now?
I only recently started doing dates. The streaming thing has been amazing for me. And I'm being very, very selective on the dates that I do. I'm not really doing club dates. I'm not trying to go into that. Anything outside, I'll consider.
Like South by Southwest?
South by Southwest was great. That was great. But, it was shocking to me the amount of people that didn't take this serious. And especially being on your deathbed makes you look at somebody a little bit different. That it's kind of like you really don't think that this is real, But and there's a level that I understand that, I don't, I have a lot of sympathy for what's going on in Ukraine. It would be very different if it was going on here.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way that you process it and take it would be different. So
we don't really take nothing serious until it's right there on our doorstep. Yeah.
So I understand the people, meeting people that are like, I don't know anybody who's actually had COVID, and I'm sitting there like, I know 50 people who died.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a different
question. I want to talk to you about. You said 88, and you talked about how they systemically got rid of the DJ, right? Do you think that they systemically changed the tone of hip hop as well? Because one line I always appreciate in Summertime is when it says, the hardcore has gotten a little bit out of control, and it seemed like it went from that to like self-destruction. We all in the same gang to straight gangster rap a couple years later.
Yeah.
Do you think that was systemically done too?
I think they would have followed happy rap to the mountain if it was making the money that the negative stuff was making. Like it was, all of this had zero to do with music. And I think that was the first lesson that I had to put in my head. A lot of the decisions that were made on the direction of music had zero to do with music. Had everything to do with money.
Wow. So once they started doing the gangster rap, and they sort of, this is what's selling 3-4 million records.
I mean, that is what woke the white kids up in the suburbs.
Yeah.
On tour back then, did y'all have many problems though? Because y'all weren't the gangster rap. Y'all weren't that. Did y'all have problems?
We had more problems than anybody.
Prove yourself.
Like you know what it was? Well, first of all, I love Charlie. Charlie Mack.
Charlie Mack.
Charlie had to learn that his job was to be a problem solver. Charlie, I used to joke that Charlie will schlock him somebody in 2 seconds. As soon as you say something, schlock. And then everybody's fighting. So you get a lot more mature when you get on the road. That it's kind of like your job is to get us out of issues and not jump head first into them.
Yeah, I love reading Will's book because it's like Charlie would fight anywhere, South Africa.
Charlie, listen, I love Charlie. I've probably gotten some of the best nuggets of my life from Charlie because Charlie I've seen Charlie stand up to a lot of people.
Does the evolution of that whole crew, does it ever blow your mind sometime?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Especially, the Omar, who was the youngest one of them, of all of us, turned 50. Like all of us are over 50. Mm-hmm. So to even think that we started something, Omar, we used to had to call Omar's teacher to get him out of school for him to go on tour with us. To realize that, that much time has passed. People have gotten married, people have gotten divorced, people have kids. you know, it's really wild that Will and I still will have that conversation. Like, he will look at me like, do you believe this? Because it's, you know, it's still going.
Do you talk to the Willie Llama about finding your purpose? Because you said you haven't found your purpose yet.
No, not. We don't really get into those conversations. We'll, you know, if we do, it's really kind of a general conversation. Like, I don't really call and say, hey, you know, I'm trying to figure out, you know, my purpose. You know, him and I have had conversations that he, you know, I went to his house one time and we were talking and he looked at me and said, you know, I'm starting to realize that some of the ways that I structured my life, I was wrong. And I think the one thing that I always gave him credit for is he's very good to accept when he's wrong and pivot, you know. And I was, you know, I'm more of a thinker. I'm more of, I want to sit back and watch, you know, I got one life. How do I want this life to go? I want to be extremely happy. I want, you know, there's a lot of stuff that don't mean a lot to me like it used to. And as that started to come down, my happiness started to go up because you start realizing that, you know, I got 2,000 pairs of sneakers, you know, and 2 feet, you know, and you just, you start understanding, you know, what's more important.
So you feel like you're extremely happy now?
Oh man, I am probably happier than I've ever been.
That's great.
You know, especially after these past 2 years. Because I was doing 160 dates a year, you know, because you thought you were supposed to, you know, you got to go out and get it. You got to go and get it, you know, but I'm watching my kids get older and, you know, have school dances and things like that, and you're missing. And then you tell yourself, but I'm making sure that they're good. And you know, I realized that I was psyching myself up a lot to be able to go out for 3 months on the road, that once everything shut down, it was kind of like, listen, I get up and let my dogs out and take a deep breath and cook breakfast and make sure the kids get to school. It's kind of like, this is it.
Did your relationship with your wife evolve from you being home?
Oh, listen, my wife saved my life. Like my wife saved my life. She, you know, especially knowing, you know, what it was, and she laid next to me every night, you know. But she was the one, you know, she kept everybody abreast at what was going on because I was gone. I didn't know, you know. She had picked up the phone and really started having tough conversations with people.
About wills and estates and all that.
But just,
stuff.
you know, like Will said to me, you know, when Lynette called me, I knew something was wrong.
Damn.
You know, I knew something was serious. So it's kind of like, you know, but, you know, my wife and I have a saying, I know who I married. We do not expect anything other than who we are to each other. And that enables us to really enjoy ourselves. And once, you know, listen, once I came out of that, I'm like, listen, get the kids' bike, let's open up the pool. You know, we are going to have the summer of our lives. And it's just going to be us.
Word. I feel like everybody's purpose is service to others, man, and you've done a phenomenal job being of service, you know, to the culture of hip hop. So
yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, one last thing. Would you like to see Jazzy Jeff end up with Hillary Banks?
Would I like to see Jazzy Jeff or Jazz?
Jazz.
You know, I kind of think that's going to happen. They already dabbled. They dabbled more than I dabbled.
Yes, they definitely did.
So, you know,
it's so weird to see it.
Yeah, it was definitely different.
You think that was a cool plot twist?
Yeah. I think that's going to be a reoccurring thing.
Is that a spoiler?
No. If you watch the show, it's
Okay.
I don't know anything except what's on there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you, OG, for joining us.
Always, man. I appreciate you guys.
Brother.
Watch you every morning and listen to you every morning. So I appreciate being here.
Thank you for coming, brother. Make sure you check out the Bel-Air, the official podcast, hosted by Jazzy Jeff and Ida.
Aida?
Aida Osman.
That's right.
Yeah, shout out to Aida. She's on Rap-ish, right?
Yes,
The Issa Rae show.
Yep.
So that's dope for her. So
Yeah,
shout out to her. I wish she could have been here too, but
dope.
I'm sure she will at some point.
Yeah.
All right, it's Jazzy Jeff, DJ Jazzy Jeff. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.